Welcome to another presentation at the East Trade Winds, hosted by Bernie Fransgrote and Wayne Pratt.
I'm Anthony, founder at SeedLegals, 160-person legal tech company based in the UK and now expanding in the US. I spend half my time in London, half in New York, except last week I was at SF Tech Week, and next I'm in Sydney, Australia. So in fact, I have to check out, look to see where I am at any given day of the week. So SeedLegals is a platform that if you're a startup founder, instead of paying large amounts of money to a law firm, you get on my platform to learn how to get investment ready, and then all the legal documents for fundraising. We've got more than 50,000 companies on our platform, so we've seen everything. One of the things I like to do is go and share from my background. I'm a serial entrepreneur, and from the stories I've seen from customers on our platform to help people get there faster. I will talk about the journey of an entrepreneur, some of the mistakes people make, some of the legal things to do, how to find investors, how to fundraise, all of which in 15 minutes or less. Are we good for that particular ride, or is it a maze? You're a founder and you start off by having an idea. We all know that you have to get the validation on it. You go out and ask people, what about this amazing idea? Let's say you've come up with this idea for a bicycle lock that uses blockchain, AI, and GPS. If your bike is stolen, you can find it anywhere immutable. You have to do validation. So you ask people, I've got this amazing new bicycle lock. Isn't it awesome? And people go, I'm not quite sure what they're talking about, but I don't want to offend them, a good friend. Of course it's awesome. So you ask the wrong people and you get the wrong advice. Thing number one is you buy a book called The Mom Test, $15 on Amazon. And it's called The Mom Test because you asked your mother and your mom goes, I have no idea what you're talking about with this GPS controlled blockchain, whatever, bicycle lock. But my son is so clever, of course it's a good idea. Instead, go out and talk to real people and ask them, how much would you pay for this? Have you ever searched for one of these? Do you own one? And if the answer is people have never looked for it, it may be a vanity project. And if you spend a few years building it, raising money and getting people to follow you on your startup journey, and it doesn't go anywhere, you'll wake up in a cold sweat wishing you had done that validation first. The key advice I give to all founders is you really want to test the concept before you build it. One of the things that's changed in the last months is vibe coding. It used to be you'd use Figma or something like that to make a mock-up, and then you test the mock-up with people. But now you can actually build something super easily yourself using Lovable or one of the others. Me, I do at least 2 websites per week using Lovable. At any time you've got an idea, go off to Lovable. I use WhisperFlow, which is voice to text. I've dictated more than 900,000 words in the last 6 months. I would go to WhisperFlow saying, make a website that might be make a better version of the website at URL that solves this problem, show 3 use cases, explain what they are, do a competitor analysis, and this is where Lovable is amazing. It will tell you I've compared these sites, include customer testimonials. Of course, it's going to make them up because you own the customers and it doesn't know who they are, and including a pricing section. The pricing section may surprise you because it may come up with pricing models you never thought about. If you get the prompt right to make a cup of coffee when you come back, you will be blown away by what Lovable has come up with. I reckon for 90% of startup websites, Lovable will come up with a better version than something the founder's been working on for months in 20 minutes. And the reason, and the next thing I've found is when talking to founders, one of the biggest problems they make, apart from validating the concept, is their website and indeed their pitch deck explains what they do rather than why anyone wants it. So here's the thing, when you talk to a founder and you ask them what you do, they'll probably explain passionately that, my bike got stolen, I could make this bicycle lock and it clamps on in this way so that yours will never get stolen. And then you go to their website and it says, something like a GPS, AI-enabled, blockchain-controlled something or other, and you're left wondering, why do I want this? How much will it cost or save me? And what do I do to actually get one? So anytime I look at a website, I can immediately tell whether it's something that's used by customers or not. Here's an example. If you're making a travel booking site says, we use AI and machine learning to connect you with favored travel destinations. I know you're not live and you don't have customers. And if booking.com has just got a text box on the page that says, where do you want to go today? Enter a name and it figures it out. You know that they've built something that people want and they've extracted away all the complexities. Booking.com doesn't keep telling you the AI algorithms, just goes, here's your price and for a flight. Key tip is for anyone building a website and indeed a pitch deck, start by, in your mind, something is broken, we're here to fix it. Another example, if you are one of many companies in the insurtech business, and your website says, we use AI to optimize insurance premiums, why would you sign up? You have no idea what it means. But if it says, we'll save you net 30% on your next month house insurance, click here, it takes 5 minutes, you may well click to do that. So my top tip, and then I'll move on to fundraising, is particularly your website, but also importantly, your pitch deck should start with a lifestyle image of somebody using your products and then work from there. And I'll give you one more example on that, which is a couple of founders came to me explaining they were doing some software for the construction industry, CRM, AI. I basically couldn't figure it out. But after talking to them for a while, I said, who's your target audience? And they said, well, it's construction workers. And how do they use your software when they're on site? They use it to optimize the delivery of materials. Great. Let's make the next version of your website with some people in high visibility yellow jackets and hard hats standing on a construction site, holding iPads, the name of your software visible, and it says, optimize your materials delivery, get started in 5 minutes, and everything becomes comprehensible. Now we're going to switch from product to fundraising. You validated your idea, done some user testing, you may have built a prototype, and you now are thinking, should I raise investment or should I fund it myself? So you always start by funding it yourself because you decide not to do it. You could just walk away. The problem is at some point it gets expensive and you may start spending $1,000 a month and then $2,000, and then $4,000 and then $8,000. And pretty soon you have to have a discussion with your spouse about where that money is going instead of whatever startup developers you've got. At some point, it doesn't make sense to use your own money. You should start using someone else's money. The time to stop bootstrapping and start fundraising is when your ability to fund it yourself is limiting the rate of growth. If only we could get a design, if only I could get a marketing or a salesperson, but I can't. I'll keep funding it myself. And that's not efficient because your life has value. If you can spend 2 years feeding it, as opposed to raising $500,000 or $1 million and getting people on board to build it faster, that may be a much better proposition, even if you're giving away some equity. So the point now flips over from you've built enough of it so that there's enough value that you can now raise at a valuation that makes sense, that you won't be giving away too much equity. So the next question is, who do I go to find investors? And of course, most founders don't know any angel investors. So you think, I need to find a VC. You do some Googling or you find lists on the internet of the top VCs in the Bay Area, New York, or wherever it might be. You start writing to these VCs and they're probably not going to write back. But if they do, the general answer you'll get is, love what you're doing, come back later. This is the bane of your existence as a founder. Love what you're doing, come back later. The reason VCs say, love what you do, come back later, is they've learned if they give honest feedback, then founders get really angry. And so they just give benign feedback that doesn't really help because it gets them off the hook easily. For example, if they say, I've just no idea what you're talking about, the founder might think the investor's stupid and it's obvious. So the investor doesn't want to admit that, or the investor may truly not know whether it's going to take off or not. So if you're a founder and you go into VC and they say, love what you later, ask for feedback. What do they really mean? And it could be, I've no idea what you do. Some users are buying it and then it becomes evidence. Or it could be, I understand what you do, but I don't think there's any market need for it. Maybe I understand it. It sounds great, but I don't think you can build it. Or I'm just not sure enough. I'm going to wait. The problem is this waiting isn't useful for you because you can't get to the next step unless you've got some money. So going to VC before you've got revenue, almost always, with rare exception, leads to love what you're doing, come back later, and you end up in this catch-22. For most startups, angel investors are your friend. So angel investors are everybody. How are you going to find angel investors? The median check from an angel investor might be 20K, maybe 50K. If you want to raise $1 million, you may be talking about 30 angel investors. You might get lucky and get some bigger ones, but it might be quite a few. So angel investment really works when you are raising maybe $500,000, maybe up to $1 million. More than that, you really need to start getting VCs. And that might mean you may have thought, I'm going to raise $2 million. But then you realize you're getting no's from VCs. So plan B might say, actually, I'm going to raise 500K and use that 500K to get some developers to build it, to get some traction, and then go back and raise at the higher valuation. One of the key strategies as a startup founder is to say, do I want to raise this big amount or raise in steps? And a classic mistake I see from many founders is take out a spreadsheet and work out the number of developers they need. I need 2 developers, data scientists, marketing, sales, a product design. I need like 10 people, and that's going to be $100,000 a year. I need to raise for 12 months, maybe 18 months. I need $1.5 million. Typically in an early stage round, you might dilute by 15%. So you take the amount you want to raise, multiply it by 6 to get post-money valuation. So you might start talking to investors. I want to raise $1.5 million on a $10 million valuation. And investors go, that sounds great. What if you build? And you go, well, I've got this here, Lovable design. Would you believe that I made this morning? And investors go, that's great. Call me when you've built it and you've got revenue. And so now you can either kiss a lot of frogs, waiting to get all the investors on this bus together, or you can go, forget that plan A. I'm going to go with plan B and look to raise $500,000 from 5 or 10 angel investors. I'm going to raise with safes. I'm going to start building it. And then now that I've got some traction, I've built something, now I'm going to go to VCs or more angel investors and build later. Lastly, one of the key things I've seen now that SeedLegals in the US is US founders are making elementary mistakes. Because legal fees are so high, founders don't go to lawyers initially. They just look at stuff on the internet. Mistakes I see are, if you want to fundraise, you have to have a C corporation. Founders will make an LLC and then realize they have to convert it into a C corp. In some cases, it's a great strategy, but in many cases, it's just a waste of money. They should just have made a C corp from the beginning. Secondly, founders often don't know about QSBS, qualified small business stock, which if you can tell your investor, they'll pay no federal capital gains tax if they keep their stock for 5 years, or no capital gains up to the maximum of 10 million or 10x the amount they've invested, then you can get investment more readily because you've de-risked it for investors. There's also another tax break that almost nobody knows about called Section 1244 loss relief, which says if your business goes out of business, the investor, if they're the first $1 million investment, can write off up to $50,000 a year from their income tax. This also de-risks, though, whether you want to tell investors if it doesn't work out, you can also get some of your money back again, is debatable. And the other thing founders don't know is how YC safes, the Y Combinator post-money cap safes. If you start stacking up safes, the dilution adds up all against you as the founder, and founders can discover that they've given away far too much equity. And if they raise 3 rounds with safes, they wake up one day when they do their first price round and realize they've actually lost control of the business because they've got less than 50% equity. So all of which is, I think there's a perfect opportunity for, if only there was a platform to solve that. And that's where my platform, SeedLegals, comes in. So we've proved this in the UK, where founders see when they come on the platform. And now in the US, my goal is that founders can seamlessly raise the safes or do a priced round, get all the help and advice so that they don't make those mistakes and get there faster. But I'm not here to plug SeedLegals. I'm here to share that advice.
Unlock the full potential of networking with East Trade Winds. Are you eager to connect with our esteemed guest speaker and delve deeper into the ever-expanding universe of connections? Simply scan the QR code now and embark on a journey of endless opportunities. Join us at East Trade Winds, where we gather online via Zoom every Tuesday from 8 to 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Whether you're a seasoned professional or just starting out, you're welcome to connect with us. Seize the moment, register for free, and start exploring today. Fancy sharing your insights as a guest speaker? We're looking for you. Reach out to Wayne Pratt to ignite your speaking journey. Email him at wayne@motivateyou.ca or connect with Wayne on LinkedIn. Don't wait. Take action and be a part of a global community that's shaping the future of business networking.